I don't know if anybody saw the video recently. I think it got posted like last week, but there was a young man who was disabled and was talking about how he wasn't able to
Oh,
get
yeah,
the
to get the
Flyease.
Flyease, yeah.
And the resellers are snatching those shoes up and flipping them for like stupid amounts of money.
Yep.
I'm just talking about just how fucked up the game is, where like here's a shoe that was specifically made for disabled people, and it used to be like I was talking to somebody from Nike not too long ago. It used to be a time where we self-regulated, right? Like we used to shame people. Nike didn't go out there and shame people for wearing fakes. We did all that.
Right.
And so now, they come up with a shoe like that, like the Flyease Go, where once again it's specifically made so that people who have disabilities are able to put on the shares easily, and resellers are snatching those up. Like it used to be a code, now I don't feel like one exists anymore. So,
I mean, there's no honor amongst thieves, and ever since COVID, like certain items just morally or ethically shouldn't be sold, like face masks shouldn't be sold, or like any necessary items shouldn't be resold. But you see people are scrambling to save gas in containers right now, like, and not even like people just aren't thinking properly, and like reselling ticket scalping, it's been around, it's going to happen, but it's oversaturated, blown out of proportion right now, and people are taking advantage of every aspect of it, and it's unfortunate.
Another thing that pisses me off is because I saw some people in the comments like, well, Nike should have made them limited. I agree. Nike should have made more pairs. However, just because they made them limited doesn't force you to buy them. You know what I'm saying? Like you still have control over.
Maybe they are gonna make a lot more
like
pairs. I remember I wanted to get a pair for my mother. My mother's 80, to be 83. My mother will be 83 years old. Right. And I took her to Nike Town the other day, and Jesus Christ, the lady went crazy on me. She bought 4 pairs of sneakers for $680. We were fighting in the middle of Nike Town. She's different, but she has a hard time putting her shoes on. Like she has a hard time lacing them up. My mom's, she's short, she's a little stubby, and she has a hard time bending down putting on her shoes, and she's 83 years old. So I figured, she'd be able to, pop those up, step in them, and maybe they'll help. They're good for elderly people too. And I knew when I seen the craze, I'm like, I ain't got no shot of getting this. I'm not gonna call a favor in for these. But it is what it is. Hopefully they'll make a lot more pairs.
Doing that, like, who are you reselling these to at this high price? And they for disabled
people.
people.
They will resell it to the same family member that has a disabled cousin or a disabled friend that buy them a present for their birthday and come through with the greatest present in the world. Y'all want to do this for my nephew who's disabled? I want to get him this shoe. They'll go pay the $500. I don't know what they sell them for. I'm just throwing numbers out. For the full $500, $600, whatever it's going for. What's the retail on the shoe?
I think it was like $140 or something like that. It was relatively cheap.
Okay, so and what's it going for, $500-$600?
Man, I think I've seen a pair go for like $7. I'm like,
it's a cool concept, but they should be made to order.
Yeah.
That's been a topic of discussion on whether Nike should do pre-orders or something like that.
But you got to sit there and go through hoops and prove that you're disabled, or if you have somebody that's disabled in your family, that's a whole.
No. I'm saying pre-orders in general. Like people are just saying Nike to kind of combat bots and all that other stuff. They should do pre-orders in general. But with this shoe, I don't know, man. Like I'm a firm believer in karma. Like I really do. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like whatever you put out there, you get back. And I would just feel some type of way if I bought up all these shoes, knowing that people really needed these shoes, and then tried to flip it on.
Let me like this is just another sample size of one of the many things wrong with the sneaker community now is that it used to be gatekeepers, right? So like I said this many times, when we used to want to say, oh, I'm a sneaker person, what forces you got? What Air Max 95s you got? Oh, where you get them from? Where you cop from? Like, but nowadays with social media and everything, like the sneaker game blew up, but it came at a cost. And when you got I remember back in the day, resellers were like almost like the Wizard of Oz. You went to them when you couldn't get no other shoe. Right. It was like a novelty. Now anybody can become a reseller, and when you cloud the game, there goes the morals, there goes certain things out of the game, and it's all the reselling platforms now. It's unfortunate. My grandmother wanted a pair of shoes, and then my mom's a nurse. She works in the hospital, and she likes to take all her garments off at the door. And she like, I want to take these, pop these off, so I want to bring them in my house, but I can just get in and go. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sad that I'm like, I have to go try to see if I can go on StockX and look for you. And it's sad, and for even outside of her, the people who really need them beyond her need. And it's sad, but these are just one of the many things that are wrong with the sneaker community is the amount of greed that comes in it.
Yeah,
But it's too much. Go ahead, Jenna. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just piggybacking off last week, I just do feel like it's our job too as a consumer to stop these antics. Like sometimes you got to be like, look, we're not gonna buy them. So you gonna hold on to those $500 shoes for the next 3 years until you go down, because that's just, it's not right. Just capitalism.